what is server and what is client? MySQL is a software, SQL is a query language. It always deals with schema. Both the things are used to create the relational database tables and store the data, retrieve the data, and modify the data. Each data type will have a different format. Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to the second session on revision TOUR-1, that is MySQL. Okay, so guys, what is that I have discussed in the last class? I have discussed something about relational data models, and also I have discussed some of the terminologies which will come in the relational data model. Hope you have gone through the video which I have done in the last session. So fine. So guys, moving on. So I have something special in this class. Let me start that. So what is that I have in today's session? So very important topic, that is referential integrity. What exactly this referential integrity is all about? So I have some of the points for all of you. Before explaining all these points for all of you, in short, I'll just explain with an example. So let's understand the concepts first. So imagine I have the table, right? So what is that I have? I have a beautiful table, right? So guys, this is table 1 and this is table 2, right? So here I will call this as a T1 and I will call this as a T2. So here I will have student information, here I will have marks information. So I will repeat for all of you. Here I will have student information, here I will have marks information of this student. When I have two tables, please understand, I will first create this table. So I will call this as parent table. I will call this as parent table and I will call this as child table for this parent table. What is the meaning of it, sir? Please understand. First, I have to enroll the student. So enroll the student in the sense the basic information of the student has to be entered in this table. After that, then only I will be able to enter the marks in this table. Yes or no? Yes, exactly. Imagine I don't have the student at all with me and I'm trying to enter the marks for him. Will it be a valid data? Will it be a valid data? Can I do that? So I cannot do that. So how do I do this? With the help of this database. So database will help me to solve such kind of problems. So with the help of the concept called referential integrity. With the help of concept called referential integrity. What is that? Suppose if I have the student here, if I have entered the information with respect to the student, then only I can enter the marks here. If I'm trying to enter the value, it should not allow me to enter the value. So how? So with the help of the concept called referential integrity. How exactly this referential integrity is working? Let us understand with some of the points. So guys, what are the conditions that I have when I want to deal with the referential integrity? Please understand one by one. The first one that I have, so the matching of field from primary table. Please understand the matching of field from primary table. Please understand primary table in the sense this table. The parent table is what I'm calling it as a primary table. The matching of the field in the primary table is a primary key has a unique index. What is the meaning of it? So guys, here imagine I have student ID. Here I have student ID. So whatever the value that I have here, so this value should match. Imagine I have student ID. So this is a foreign key in this table. This is a foreign key in this table. So I have something called MID. MID is a primary key. Let us imagine for this table. MID is a primary key of this table. So SID is a foreign key. So foreign key in the sense what? This is a primary key in this table. So this is my primary table. In this primary table, this is a primary key. So this value, whatever I have here, so this value and this value should be same. Should be same. That is the first condition. So what is the second condition that I have? So guys, the related fields should have the same data type. The related fields should have the same data type. What is the meaning of it? So whatever the data type here that I have, so for example, I have given character or I have given varchar. The same thing I should give here also. The data type in the related fields should be same. So that is what you have to understand. So the value should be same and data type in the both the fields should be same. That is the second condition that you have to understand. What is the third one that I have? Both the tables belongs to the same database. So these two tables should be there in one database. So I will call it as a DB1. So what is the meaning of DB1? I'm just writing the name of the database. What is the meaning of it? So within one database, I should have these two tables. That is the third condition that you have to remember. These three conditions are very, very important when we are discussing a referential integrity. Moving on to the next one. Rules to be followed when the referential integrity is applied. So guys, let us understand one by one. So what is the first rule? Please understand, we can't enter the value in the foreign key field. Understand? We can't enter the value in the foreign key field, the related table that does not exist in the primary key primary table. So what is the meaning of it that I have already explained? So imagine I have two tables, right? So imagine I have two tables. So what is that? The tables that you're trying to write. So we got fed up of seeing this table. Yes, I'll finish it. Okay. So guys, listen to me carefully. So this is what I will call it as a primary table, parent table. This is the child table. So guys, understand this point. We can't enter the value in the foreign key field. So directly I cannot enter the value in this. Directly I cannot enter the value in this. What is the meaning of it? SID is a primary key here. SID is a primary key here. Same SID I will have here. So here it cannot be primary key. It will be a foreign key. It will be a foreign key. First I have to enter the value for this and then I have to enter the value for foreign key. So that is the point that you have to understand. Suppose if I don't enter the value here, you will skip this and directly you want to enter the value here. So this is not possible. This is not possible is what they're trying to explain. So what is the second point? We can't delete the record from the primary table if matching record exists in the related table. What is that? I have the information. I have, imagine I have the information with respect to 001. Okay. So I have entered the marks for 001 also here. I have entered the marks. Yes, I have entered the marks for one MID. Okay, MID is a primary key of this table, right? So guys, I have a student called 001 in my table and I have entered the marks for this student also. MID is like, let's imagine M11 is a marks ID. So I have the information. Remember, I have 001. I have entered some information with respect to this student and I have the marks with respect to this student. I cannot delete this student information when I have the information here in the related table. You got my point? I have to delete first this related tables data with respect to that student. Then only I should delete this data. Directly I cannot delete the data which I have in the main table. So first I have to delete all the data whatever I have in the related tables first. At last I have to delete the data what I have in the main table. Suppose if you delete or if you try to delete in the main table in the beginning, that leads to an error. So what will happen for this data? I have this data but I don't know which student. I know I have stored the marks but I don't have the student information. What is the use of keeping this data? So to avoid such problems, so guys, we have the concept of referential integrity. Referential integrity will not allow you to delete the data from the main table when you have the data which is related to that in the related table. That is what you have to understand. So what is the third point that we have? We cannot change the primary key value. Please understand, we cannot change the primary key value in the primary table. We cannot change the primary key value in the primary key table if that record has related records. What is the meaning of it? Please understand. So guys, what is that I have? So this, my primary key value is 001 here. My primary key value is 001 here. Keeping this, I have entered this record also. So here also I have stored 001. So after storing this, I wanted to change this primary key value. What will happen to this if I change only this? So this is not allowed. I am not supposed to change this primary key value once you have entered the data for the related table. That is not possible. You cannot change the values in the primary key. So that is very, very important that you have to understand. So this is the different things that you have to follow, different rules that you have to follow whenever you are concentrating on referential integrity. So moving on to the next concept, I have MySQL database system. I have MySQL database system. How exactly this MySQL database system is working? So what is this MySQL? Let us understand that in brief. Okay, MySQL works using client and server architecture. What exactly this client and server architecture is all about? So listen here carefully. I have something called server. I have something called server and I have something called clients. I will call all these things as clients. Okay, this is my server and this is my clients. What is server and what is client? Server is there to serve or to process all your requests, which is given by the client. What is client? Client is there to raise the request to the server. In short, let us understand that. What is server? Server is used to provide the service. Client is used to raise the request for the service. That is, MySQL is working on the basis of client and server architecture. So the client will send the request to the server, server will process the request and sends the response to the client. This is how exactly MySQL is working. So that's what they have mentioned, that is with respect to the server and clients with respect to the MySQL. So moving on, what is the next topic that I have, guys? MySQL and SQL. MySQL I've already discussed. What is the difference? What is the major difference that we have with respect to MySQL and SQL? Please understand, MySQL is a software, SQL is a query language. I will repeat for all of you. MySQL is a software, but when it comes to SQL, SQL is a query language. But MySQL is a software, is what I have told you. It will receive the updates, but when it comes to the SQL, it will not have any updates. It's constant. It is already predefined and set. It will not receive any of the updates. That's the first main difference that you have to keep it in your mind. So fine. After that, what is the next thing that I should know with respect to SQL? Please understand, I'm trying to teach you in English. Why? Because all of you will understand if I use English. Imagine, so Bakshanam Kaicho, Ravila Enda Kaicho, if I say like this, or Mathimalai Manparamocho, if I say something like this, if I use this language in teaching, will you understand? So no, right? In the same way, database will understand one particular language, so that is structured query language. So I'm using this language to interact with the database. I'm using this language to interact with database, and this is a non-procedural language. So I use this language to create the table, to store the data into the table, and to modify the data from in whatever that I have in the table, and to do whatever I want with the data that I have in the table. So this is the main language that I have to perform all the operations with respect to the table. That is what you have to understand. The first point that you have to understand is it has also been pronounced as SQL. So structured query language is a non-procedural language is what you have to remember. So moving on to the next point. So guys, please understand this is very, very important with respect to the exam point of view. What is that? Classification of SQL statements. Classification of SQL statements. We have different types of SQL statements. The first one that we have is data definition language. What is that? DDLJ. So J is missing. Is it? No, it is DDL, right? So data definition language. What is the meaning of data definition language? It always deals with schema. It always deals with a schema. What is that schema, sir? Why are you using that word called schema? Please understand. If you are trying to do anything with respect to the structure of the table, I will be using this language. I'll be using this language. I will repeat for all of you. If you are trying to deal with the schema of the table, that is the structure of the table. Sir, can you just explain what exactly the meaning of structure of the table? Listen to me carefully. Structure of the table in the sense, how many columns should I have in my table, and what should be the first column, what should be the second column, what type of data that I should store in the first column, what type of data that I should store in the second column. So all these things is what I will call it as a structure of the table. That is what I will call it as a schema. So all these things will comes under the category of data definition language. If I want to do anything with respect to the structure, with respect to the schema, I will be using this data definition language. Please understand the word. I'm trying to define the table with the help of the data definition language. So what is the next one that I have? Data manipulation language. So manipulation in the sense what? I have already stored some data. I have to manipulate the existing data. So if I want to do any operation with respect to that, so I will be using this data manipulation language. Anything that I wanted to deal with transaction, I have something called transaction control language. Let us understand which are all the queries will comes under the data definition language. Please understand, I have something called creating the index, creating the table, and also deleting the relationship. All these things will comes under the category or the classification of data definition language. Please understand, I have something, right? Insert. I have something called insert, delete, modify the tuples. All these things will comes under the category of data manipulation language. And anything if I do with respect to the transaction, it will comes under the category of TCL. So that is transaction control language is what you have to remember. Moving on to the next one, the main objective of data types. Why should I have data type? Let me just bring in some simple example for all of you. Guys, I have one coconut with me. And I have one carry bag with me. And also I have one gunny bag, right? I will repeat the example for all of you. I have one coconut with me, and I have one carry bag, and I have one big gunny bag. Which one do you suggest me to carry this coconut? Whether you will ask me to carry that in the carry bag, small carry bag, or you will ask me to carry the gunny bag. Which one you will suggest me? Obviously the carry bag, right? So why? Because I can accommodate this coconut in this carry bag. Why do I waste the space? That is the main point that you have to remember. In the same way, this coconut is my data. This carry bag is the memory. I have to look for the best fit. I don't want to waste the memory. So that is why, that is a major thing that I have. So that is the reason I have something called data types. Let me start discussing that one by one. So what is the first one? Optimum is utilization of storage space. That is the main reason that I have data types. So what is the next one? It represents all possible values. With the help of data types, I can store all possible values. So that is one more advantage that I have. It improves the data integrity. These three important points will tell me why should I have the data type. So what are the common data types that I have? Please understand, I have integer and numeric data type. Please understand, I have float and real. I have date and time is a different data types that you have to remember. So each data type will have different formats. I don't have to speak much about this integer, numeric, float and real, right? So but please remember, date, time, all these things are different data types. Each data type will have a different format, is what you have to remember. Now, and also you have character and varchar. So character and variable character. So that is what you have to remember. All these things are the common different data types that I have. Not only this, you have many other data types that you can use when you are trying to create the database and tables. So guys, what is the next one that I have? I have use command. So why do we use this use command? Suppose if I want to create any tables, I have to create within the database. So how do I select when I have multiple database? I have the command called use command. How do I use this? So please understand, I have to type use followed by I have to type the name of the database. At the end, I have to write the semicolon. This statement, if you execute this statement, that particular database will be selected. That is what you have to understand. So guys, by this I have given you the fair idea about the referential integrity. What is the use of referential integrity? What are the different conditions that we have to follow when we are using the referential integrity, and the different data types that we have. Along with that, I have also discussed about the difference between the MySQL and SQL. So by this, I've come to an end of this session. So guys, please take care of your health and also take care of your family. Go through this session twice, thrice, understand this concept very clearly. Till then, I'll meet you in the next session. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.